you're a remodeler and you don't have $10,000 in the bank,
hello, this is the Hack Hour Podcast, a show where it's all about helping real, everyday, hardworking remodelers learn the secrets to having it all in life and business. And now, here's your host, Mike Menges.
or at least $5,000 to invest in your business today, then I hate to break it to you. Look, your estimates are the problem. You're not charging enough. You're not running a business. You're working for wages. And if you don't fix it, your future's at risk. Let me show you why your estimating process sucks and it's killing your business. Let's look at how to fix it. Let's get real for a second. If you're still out there blaming customers, blaming the economy, or your competitors for why you're not making money, stop. The problem isn't them. It's not out there. It's here, right? It's the way that you're estimating and pricing your jobs. Look, I get it. I was where many of you were. I thought that maybe being the more competitively priced option in the early days, I was like, that's going to win me more jobs. You know what? I'll make it up on volume. I'll survive because I have lower overhead. And I did land my first basement job with that approach really quick. And guess what? It left me realizing that I was foolish for risking my future like that. See, why was I willing to work so hard and sacrifice so much to not be properly rewarded? It made no sense when you pulled back. Right? Today I'm going to share some stories that really helped change many things for me about the way I estimated for my business. One was important because I learned that I was working for a wage, right? Many of you are doing this. You're not running a business. You're just working for basically an hourly amount. And another was I realized just how much money I was leaving on the table compared to others because I was a little afraid to grow the business, right? These lessons, they taught me to discover how to overcome these internal fears that I had and dial in my estimating process, right? If I found that when I could put the number in the spreadsheet and then the spreadsheet showed me the number, that's the number I charge, not the number that I'm like, well, that seems like a little high. Maybe I should cross that number out. Maybe I could sell it for a little less. I don't know if they're ever going to go for that. Look, I let the number be the number, and that's the number I would sell for. But in the beginning, that was hard. So, look, I want you guys to be able to offer jobs at a true price for profit and finally build a sustainable business, right? By the end of this episode, you'll know exactly why your current estimating process, it's broken, and you'll know how to fix it. So, look, welcome back to the Hack Hour Podcast, right? This is where there's days where I'm just going to tell you like it is. I'm Mike Menges. I'm the founder of the Remodeling Academy, the Morning Hammer, the Renegade Remodeler Affiliate Program. And look, today we're going to dive into one of the most important and look, often it's just overlooked aspects of running a remodeling business. It's estimating. So many of you guys are reaching out on social media. How much do you charge for this? How much do you charge for that? You're asking all the wrong people. Who else is running your business? Who else knows what your overhead is? How would they know what you're supposed to charge? Look, I like to call improper estimating. It's the silent killer of your remodeling business. See, you're on a path that's leading you to failure. 50% of you just aren't going to be in business. And if we go back and find that 50%, you're going to tell us you ran out of money. And you'll have 1,000 excuses for why you ran out of money. The reason you ran out of money is you weren't charging enough. You didn't estimate properly. You did it to yourself. Charge more. Learn how to charge more. Learn how to estimate properly. Look, guys, if you don't know how to estimate properly, you are sabotaging your business. You're sabotaging your income and your future, your family's future. it's not your competitors who are undercutting you. It's not the cheap clients or the bad economy. It's you. And until you're willing to admit that and do something about it, nothing's going to change. Most remodelers are straight up, you're just afraid to charge more, right? You think that being cheaper will make you more competitive. It's going to help get by during the slow time. It's going to keep me busy, keep the guys busy. How often do you feed yourself these BS lines? You know that. The truth is, being cheap is killing your business. Stop being cheap. Stop being broke. You're not charging enough to hire the staff that you need to offer the warranties, right, that your customers want. Or you're not even charging enough to pay yourself a proper salary. Give yourself all the benefits that you should have for running your business. Where's the extra money at the end of the year so that you can invest, right? Get some new training, get some new skill sets. Look, that's the way you're doing it is not running a business. That you're running yourself into the ground. Look, there's good news, all right? It's not all doom and gloom. Today, we're going to talk about how you turn that ship around. By the end of this episode, you'll know exactly why your current estimating process is broken and how it's keeping you broke, and why you can finally start pricing jobs for profit. Look, if you're ready to stop lying to yourself and start building a business that works for you and not against you, you're in the right place. All right. I want to take you back to it was my first basement remodel. Man, I was so excited to land this job. I thought I hit the jackpot. The family I was working for had money, right? They were in a really nice, desirable neighborhood. It was a beautiful old stone home. And the gentleman, he was a business owner, so in my estimation, he had the money to afford something like this. He wanted some nice things. He wanted a custom-built entertainment center. He wanted a specially built wall on the one side where we used plywood so his kids could kick the soccer ball up against it. Fun things that I was going to enjoy building. Now, I wasn't 100% confident in my pricing. I was confident in my ability to do the job. But the truth was, I didn't even know how much more I could have even sold the job for, right? And I estimated it more based off of how many hours it was going to take, my materials, and the old broken BS way of adding 10% for overhead and 10% for profit. That method's broken. So I remember it was competitive to try to get this basement. He was looking at a few other people, and I persisted. I think initially he was maybe concerned that I was too new in business. However, the homeowner, I later learned, he was a cheapskate. And being a business owner, he recognized that I was undervaluing myself, and he knew he was getting a good deal. So he loved my price, and he let me get to work. And I sure gave him a lot. I not only did the job for way less than it should have been, I gave him the ability to put a ton of equity into his future pocket when they eventually did sell that house. See, what I didn't realize at the time was I wasn't pricing the job like a professional remodeling business owner. I was pricing the job like an employee who thought he was a business owner, right? I wasn't accounting for all the expenses that a real business has and needs to survive. Wasn't factoring in a proper overhead for my future, or was I factoring in enough for a proper profit? See, I was just covering the basics, and there's no way I could ever grow a great company on such low margins. Like, if you've been in business for a little while, frustrated and you just don't see an end in sight because you're like, man, I work so hard, I'm working all the time, I'm always behind, there's never enough. That is a clue that you're just not charging enough. It's not that hard, guys. Like, this game gets simpler when you stop being your own worst enemy. So, like, here's the real kicker, right? Months later, after this basement remodel, I was out with a friend who knew this homeowner, and he shared with me that Most of my competitors on that job, they quoted probably more than double what I charged. Double, right? And it's because they understood something that I didn't. They weren't working for wages. They were working to run a business. They were setting themselves up for a future success. I wasn't. See, I was the one taking all the risk. I was the one responsible for everything. I was the one doing almost everything. And yet I wasn't charging enough to give myself the basics. There wasn't going to be, at the end of the year, all this paid vacation. I wasn't building up enough to have a proper sick leave. I wasn't charging enough so that I would have a good retirement savings account. Look, at the rate that I was going, I was never going to be building a nice future for myself. Here's the reality. I would have been better off working for another one of my competitors, another remodeling company. At least they were typically knew how to charge enough so that they would provide me as an employee the benefits, a good salary, some vacation time. At a minimum, I would get those things. This job was a wake-up call for me. If I wanted to succeed as a successful remodeling business owner, I needed to stop that day pricing jobs like an employee and start pricing like a proper professional remodeler. And that meant learning how to estimate properly, right? So let's talk about this elephant that's in the room. It's money. Right? Why is it that so many remodelers who are incredible at their craft can't seem to keep any money in the bank? And it's because they don't know how to estimate properly. It's as simple as that. Look, you're guessing instead of knowing, right? Most remodelers, when they start looking at pricing, they don't want to take the time to build a proper spreadsheet, to factor in all the things and include all the business expenses, not just the time that the job's going to take and not just the materials for the job, but what does it cost you to run this business of yours, especially if you want to grow it, right? A lot of you guys are just looking at a job and you're throwing out a number that you hope the customer will go for. It's like you're fishing and you put a price on the hook and throw it in and let me see if they'll bite, right? And many of you, because you're using small bait, you're attracting small fish. What I'm saying is, if you learn to charge more, you'll be able to put yourself into an arena where you can get better jobs. So, look, hope isn't a strategy. When the bills come in and you realize you didn't account for the proper overhead, labor, or profit, who's paying for all that mistakes? It's you're paying for it. And those are tough lessons. So, look, I get it. A lot of you are afraid to charge what you're worth. You're afraid you won't get the job, right? So too many remodelers go around thinking, well, if I charge less, I'll get more jobs, right? Wrong. Like, you just never can make up those losses on profit. Call me one day and I'll walk you through and we can look at every time you discount the job, I will show you just how much harder it is for you to ever try to even make that up. You have to charge so much more on future jobs to make up for that loss. It's a never-ending cycle that just gets you to the bottom. So look, clients, at the end of the day, they don't respect cheap prices. Some do. Like, some want that really cheap price, but that's not the client that you want to work for. I would have been better off not working for this gentleman and doing his basement, right? Look, cheap prices, they scream low quality, and that's the type of client that you start attracting, right? Like, I worked for a cheapskate, and I didn't have to. So, also, a lot of times your cheaper clients, you guys know this, they're the ones, they nickel and dime you. They complain about everything and they never leave a good referral, right? They don't post and give you a great social media review. You lose in every aspect with the cheap clients. So look, you have to stop blaming everyone else, right? Look, let's just call it what it is. If you don't have an extra $10,000 in the bank, it's not your market. It's not your economy. It's not the customers. It's your process. Stop blaming everyone else. Take the responsibility for learning how to estimate the right way. Now, let's talk about a solution, right? This is the good news part. There's hope. You don't have to guess anymore. You don't have to settle for being broke, overworked, burned out. But you do have to be willing to learn to change. At the bare minimum, you have to have some sort of a spreadsheet and system where you really know your numbers. What does that mean? You hear people say, know your numbers. This is what they're referring to. What does it cost you to have your business, right? How much did the license, if you have to have a license, cost? How much is your insurance, right? What does it cost to get some apparel that has your logo on it? Hats, shirts, sweatshirt, jackets. What's it cost to letter the vehicles or wrap them, right? What does it cost to have brochures and handouts and flyers? What does it cost to have a proper advertising and marketing campaign? Other than just throwing some ads on social media, right? Like, what does it cost for you to get your accounting services done? What are the subscriptions for the software programs that you need to run your business, right? What does it cost to have a website for you? What does it cost if you're having someone help you with some of your social media, right? What does it cost for you to maintain the tools and the equipment that you have? What does it cost for you to maintain the vehicle and your insurance on that vehicle? You need to have, like, your cell phone, your Wi-Fi, all the things that you need to run the business. You have to have some way of figuring out on a spreadsheet that you're accounting for that on every single job, right? So you look at what are your expenses for the entire year, and then you divide that by maybe the number of days that you're going to be on the job, or you figure out how many hours you work in a year. So this is how much extra per hour. There's different ways of going about this, but those are the numbers that we're talking about. You need to know your expenses. It's more than just what's my materials for the job, what's my labor, okay? Also, every estimate needs to have a section where you're building in profit, right? See, profit isn't what's left over. It's an actual line item in the estimate, and a proper estimate guarantees that you're making money before you even start the job, right? You also need a line item that, really, you got to have all that overhead that we've talked about, right? It has to be in this estimate. Guys, think about this. Your overhead also, like, you need to account for all the proper things that a business should have. Let's look at health insurance, holiday pay, sick leave pay, vacation pay, right? Paid vacation time. These things, your retirement savings, they don't just show up. You just don't hope that there's enough money left. You factor in, okay, if I'm going to invest $300 a month into a retirement savings account, I need to factor that in, right? A company would match a 401k. So if I'm saving X, I should factor in a bonus, right? You need to have, let's say you want to have 2 weeks paid vacation. You got to factor that in. I want to have this many holidays or sick leave, right? If you work at a company, you're typically going to get these things. So why is your company not offering them? And many of you are saying, I can't charge that much. Well, not knowing how to charge that much, that's a problem. It's not that you can't, you just haven't figured out how to do it. All right. Look, some of you guys, when you're doing your estimates, you're spending way too much time and you're doing them for free. And there's a better way to go about this process. Some of you want to argue it all day long, but the reality is that many companies, have figured out a way to not have to run around and give necessarily free estimates all the time. They've learned how to do ballparking, bracketing, giving price ranges so that they can figure out who the best customers are to go after. Other people are learning how to at least charge a basic fee. Hey, I'd love to come out and do an estimate. This is what we charge for that service, right? You can throw in, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, yes, we have a fee to do our estimates. The good news is when you hire us, we give you that money back, right? I mean, even the guys at, I think it's now like standard for a lot of these big box companies, they're charging a minimal fee just to come out. They call it a measure fee. You should at least be charging that. Hey, I'd love to come out and look at your kitchen. We have what's called a measuring fee, whatever. You have to charge, you should be charging something. Anyhow, guys, this is all part of having a good estimating process. So how do we make this happen, right? It starts with a system, a process. You don't have to invest in tons of software. You can, that's an option. It can be something as simple as just a spreadsheet, and we can show you how to set that up, right? It's just, the reality is you need something that's a process that you follow every single time to ensure your estimates are accurate, professional, and profitable. Now, we offer Exito Estimating, right? It's your path to profits. And in that type of a course, we show you like a step-by-step estimating framework and how you break down every cost and how you build in the overhead and the profit and how you can factor that in, right? We teach you the design first approach, the feasibility approach, and why charging for these things up front elevate your business and actually help you filter out bad clients and then set you up for an even better chance of winning the job. We help you sell the value, right? We can show you how literally you can walk in, look at a project, explain to the customer that you're going to need a few minutes to go out to your vehicle because you have a software program that's going to help you come up with some numbers. And then you can turn right back around after being in your vehicle for a few minutes, walk back into the customer and say, Mr. and Miss Smith, appreciate all the time. We're going to look at this, do that. What you've been just sharing with me today, jobs like that typically cost to this to that, right? And now you can stop. You don't have to spend 6 hours estimate. You can just give a ballpark and see if that works with them. And then you can say, great, what I recommend we do now is we go forward with a design process. And that's where we're going to hone in and make sure everything's perfect, right? This is a whole different way of going about estimating jobs where you finally get paid. Now, guys, imagine this. Here you are. You finish a project and it's one you've been working on for 6 weeks. And instead of wondering where all the money went and being like, man, I got to get another deposit because we're broke. I thought that final payment was going to cover it, but it didn't, right? What would it be like to know that you made a profit, right? And that you're not having to chase clients all the time and scared about where the next check's coming because you didn't charge enough on the last 2 jobs, right? How would it be like to know that you're just not working yourself into the ground, but you're actually able to stay afloat? So think about this, right? What would it be like that you're running a business that pays you what you're worth? Would sound good, right? Now ask yourself, what's stopping you? If you're thinking that, like, I can't afford to invest in any courses, I can't invest in training or coaching. Well, let me flip that for you and say this. The real question is, how can you afford not to? How do you expect to stay in business and become this great remodeling company if you can't even afford to invest in training for yourself, right? You invest in tools. You want to get the latest and greatest tool, right? That new 18-volt kit. How about that new battery-operated miter compound dual bevel chop saw, right? It helps you do the installation and produce the product. But what about learning how to be better at running and operating the business? What investments have you made recently into the back end of your business? That's where you're going to make the real money. So again, the real question is, like, how can you afford to not be investing in your business? If you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to be where you've been, right? In another year, still broke, still blaming the economy, still wondering why you're not successful. I want to also share a second story. Look, hopefully you'll learn from my mistakes. I know I sure did. Again, it was my first year, just a couple, maybe not even 2 months in, and I'm sitting in front of a homeowner. I had a good opportunity, right? They wanted 20 plus windows replaced. It was an older house. They had the original wood windows. I think that it was a stone house again. It was probably built in the 1940s. So this was a large project for me. And I remember meeting them. I got a quote from my window distributor, and I marked it up, and I'm thinking this is good. I was like, I'll make some good money. It's gonna, I'm hoping to, by myself, I was hoping to do like a good 5 windows a day. So I was like, I won't be here that long. So I give them my proposal, and the client hits me with this. They go, look, we really appreciate all the time and the energy, and we like you. And they said, but we're going to go with a different company. And they're more expensive, but we feel like they're going to do a better job and they're a safer investment for us. They were willing to show me the competitor's bid. I asked them, I said, well, I asked them why they chose the company, and I said, would you mind sharing and showing me how they went about the process? And they did. They were very gracious about that. And again, this is the second time it happened in just like a month. The competitor was double what I was. And look, they were probably charging more than $1,600 a window. I was floored. I was looking back and I was like, I said to myself right there, I have to learn how to do what they just did, right? So I started digging, and I found out what type of window that they offered. And then I researched, where could I get the window? And I recognized that I can't buy that window. The distributor won't sell the window to me personally, but I found out the window was being rebranded for that company, and I could get the same version of the window. It would just have a different name. And I found out it was actually a window called like the Grand View. And I found out I could get it for, hear this, I could get it for less than like $200 an opening. Now, here I am, I'm investigating this company. And the homeowner was very nice. They let me know, hey, we're actually having the windows installed here in 2 weeks. So I actually went back and met with the installers. And I brought some donuts and a thing of coffee from like a Dunkin' Donuts, and took some time to get to know the guys, shared with them that like, hey, I'm a remodeler. I'm looking for good installers. And I said, I'd like to understand a little bit more about why you're working with this company. What do they do that is so awesome? What are the things that I could do that might interest you or someone like yourself to work for a company like mine? And I started learning what they were charging and how they were getting paid and all the things that this company did for them, right? I wanted to know everything about it. And I found out, right, that the company I lost the job to, right, they weren't just covering their costs, right? They were making a massive profit, profits that I didn't realize you could make in the industry. And here I was afraid to charge enough to add like 20% to my break-even number. See, it wasn't just about the windows, right? That's not the reason why I lost or didn't win the sale, right? The competitor that I went up against, they had a well-run system, right? They offered a better warranty. They offered a better experience. They had a project manager. They had office staff. They made that homeowner feel like they were in good hands. See, the homeowner wasn't just paying for the windows. They were paying for trust, convenience, peace of mind. And you know what? The homeowner was right. My business, it wasn't charging enough to cover all of these resources, right? I wasn't pricing for my own success, right? I was just pricing for survival. And again, it was a moment where I recognized that if I want to compete and survive, I need to get over my own fear of charging more, and I need to learn more about what I don't know, right? I don't even know what I don't know, because I was shocked at how well this company was charging that much to just install windows. And I wanted to be charging just like them, right? I needed to price my jobs in a way that allowed me to build a real remodeling business. So look, here's what these two experiences that I was fortunate to have early on. Some of you would look at those and be frustrated, right? Like when you come across an obstacle, if something's not going your way, I would encourage you to say to yourself, isn't that interesting? I wonder what it is that I don't know how to do. Because if I knew how to do it, I wouldn't be stopped by this obstacle. I would have succeeded, right? Like, what is it that you don't know that's preventing you from getting where you're going? So, look, if you're not charging enough, you're not really running a business. What you're doing is you're running yourself into the ground, and you're never going to build like any substantial thing. You're not going to build the retirement fund that you need. You're not going to be having the time to take the family on vacation. You're just going to be working all the time and struggling, right? You're never going to get to grow into your full potential and have the kind of company that like the homeowner trusts and knows is going to deliver a great experience, and you're relaxed and you're like, yeah, this is great. When we're done your job, I got like a week off, letting the guys, we got a company. Are you able to even afford like a holiday party for the company? Like, these are all things that you should be doing, because look, let's be real. If you're not pricing for profit, you're not just hurting yourself, you're hurting your team and you're hurting your clients, because you just can't deliver your best work when you're cutting corners to save costs. And clients learn this and they know this. And that's why many are going with more expensive competitors, right? They see value where you see fear. So here's the question. Are you ready to stop lying to yourself and start building a real business? Because the truth is, if you're still afraid to charge what you're worth and you're not willing to learn how to estimate properly, you're not just losing money, you're losing opportunities, you're losing time, you're losing your future. I don't know what works best for you, right? I don't know who you're going to get advice from. You need to pick someone. You need to be investing in something somewhere that helps you get over all the obstacles that you're currently coming into at your business. We're presenting you with a option, right? At the Remodeling Academy, we've created this program. It's Exito Estimating. It's your path to profits, right? It teaches you how to price the jobs the right way, right? It's not just another course. This one is also something that will help you transform how you think about your business. So you truly learn how to build estimates that cover all the costs, right? It helps you build a better client experience. It helps you command higher prices, and you'll stop blaming all the external factors, and you'll be able to take control of your financial future. So if you're serious about being great, check out what we offer at the Remodeling Academy, right? Go to the remodelingacademy.com. Stop wondering if you can afford it, right? Stop asking yourself, how do I afford these programs? How do I afford to get myself a coach? Instead, ask yourself, look, how do I make this happen? What can I do today? Am I willing to just take a chance on myself? I'm going to get into that program and I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to say there is nothing that's going to stop me. I am going to learn how to charge more. I'm going to learn how to estimate properly. That's it. No questions asked. I'm doing it. I'm going for it. Because the moment you decide to stop playing small and start investing in yourself is the moment that your life's going to change and the future starts to open up. So what does it take, right? What's going to have to happen for you to make your life great? I would encourage you to come over to us and apply. See if you qualify for our affiliate program. Look, remember, you're not just a remodeler. You're a business owner, and a business owner who will no longer work for wages. You are a business that is now working for profit, right? You're a business that is building for your future. You're taking care of yourself and your clients and your staff. So don't settle for being broke and overworked. You deserve better, and so do your clients. Let's fix your estimating process and build a business you're proud of. Come on over to the Remodeling Academy. We're looking forward to having you.
Thank you for listening to the Hack Hour podcast. It would be awesome if you would leave us a quick review on iTunes. To further your remodeling success, go to remodelingriches.com.